All righty. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Legacy Impact Coaching. I am Dana Artist. This is my husband, Devon, and we are going live tonight. We're talking about mommy and daddy issues. This has been a hot topic. If you follow us at all on our social medias, we posted something about this red flag in relationships, and it caused a lot of talk and a lot of questions. So, this is what we're doing today. So, come on in. If this is your first time joining our lives, then just come in, let us know where you're from, say hi in the comments. We're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Instagram. So we've got a lot of different things going on, a lot of different people commenting, but come on in, join us, welcome.
Yeah, welcome to live Sunday Night Live. I guess you could call us, right? So we want to hear from you. Kind of let us know where you're from in the comments, what city you're from. All right, and also we're gonna have some conversations. Now, this conversation tonight is for singles and married people. It's not just for married folks. If you're single, you want to get married one day, this is for you. It's really good for those that are single, right? Because you got an opportunity to get this thing right and nail it. Some of you folks that are already married, you kind of got what you got. We got to work with that organic matter that you have in your relationship, and we can help you with that. But really, it's going to really help both folks, both demographics, right? So we want to make sure that we acknowledge the single folks, we acknowledge the married folks out there. We're here to help you both. All right. So, matter of fact, as we come in, we'll do this throughout the live tonight. If you're single, just type a 1 into the comments there and let us know you're single. If you're married, type a 2 in the comment and let us know kind of who we're dealing with and who we're talking to tonight as we go along. All right. Yep. So come on in. Good to see you all.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about the mommy and daddy issues.
Yeah, there's a post that just kind of went a little crazy.
Yes.
Last week that you posted with this guy who's a therapist.
All right, we got married, singles, got some 2s, got some 1s. So we definitely want to hit on this for everyone because I think it is something that impacts everyone.
Yeah. We all just say Legacy Impact Coaching that we talk about communication, right? Every relationship starts with communication, but it's sustained through effective communication. And part of what we're going to do tonight is going to give you some communication pointers, but we're going to talk specifically about daddy issues and what they look like and how they can affect your communication, and also some ways to kind of do some analysis.
And mommy issues.
Right. And daddy and mommy issues. We're going to be fair. That's what we do. We do couples coaching, so we're balanced, and we do both. We want to talk about the mommy issues and the daddy issues tonight. All right. All
right. So we have a question already coming in real quick. Right. So we'll look at this and then we'll go ahead and get started. And if you do have questions, you can put them in. If you're on Instagram, you can hit the question mark and put them in there. So we have them and save them because as people type, they go up and we lose them. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can type them into the comments and we'll see that. So this one says real quick, do you think if I'm in a relationship that we know we both have some trauma or willing to fix it, do you think it's possible for us to continue a healthy relationship? The answer is absolutely yes, because the bottom line is we all have issues. We're human beings. None of us are perfect. So we all have some sort of issue, trauma, whatever you want to call it or however you want to label it. But the key thing that even the therapist that we shared, the reel that we shared is said, if the person's not willing to get help, that's when we're saying run, get your bags and get to packing, because you can't change any person. You can't love someone into change. You can't coerce someone into change. You can't manipulate someone into change. Even if they do, it's for a short period of time.
Now, I'm going to say this. Now, hear me when I say this. You can't even pray anyone to change, right? Because we can pray for somebody, and that's good. And I believe prayer works. Don't get me wrong. We're 100%. We're faith-based, and we believe prayer works. But I want you to understand that sometimes we pray and we think, okay, a month goes by and they don't change, then nothing's happening. A person's going to change when they're willing to acknowledge this fact that they've got room to learn and grow, and they accept their issues, they accept where they are, and they take the necessary steps to change their situation. That's when it changes, right? So really, you want to make sure that, yes, pray, number one, without above all else, do that. But there's also some work we got to add to the equation. And a lot of times people, adding to your prayer, a lot of times people don't add this. They don't add this point. They don't do a self-assessment into where they are. They don't really know where they are. So how can you get to where you're going? And that's what we do at Legacy Impact Coaching. We help couples get from where they are to where they need to be. We're not therapists, but we are marriage coaches, and we help you set those goals and get to where you want to get to. So where are we going to get to tonight? We want to meet you where you are. That's why we're here. We want to get you to where you need to get to. Good morning. Someone's calling us from a dialing in from somewhere where it's morning. It's nighttime right now where we are. Good morning to you.
Welcome. So if you're just joining, welcome. Come in. Tell us where you're coming from or coming in to us at. And then if you're single, put a 1 in the comments. And if you're married, put a 2 in the comments, because we want to make sure we cover the dynamics on each person. Because if you're single, you may be able to get out of the relationship. If you're married, maybe you're not. So how do we cope with that? So we want to be able to make sure we're covering and making sure we hit everybody. So
mommy and daddy issues tonight.
Mommy and daddy issues. So we have been married for 19 years, and we've actually been coaching for 6 years. And we have helped hundreds, and if not thousands, through social media improve their relationships, whether they're engaged, married, and even dating, to improve their communication, their connection, and their affection. Because a healthy relationship is what we're after. What we're all after is to have that healthy relationship. Hey, from New Orleans. We are not therapists, like Devon said, but we are advocates of therapy for everyone. We believe that everyone is in therapy, should have some sort of therapy. If you're not, that's a red flag for me. If you have never been in therapy or don't feel like that you have any issues or anything that you need help walking through in life, that to me is a red flag.
Major red flag.
Because therapy for us, we're trying to break that stigma that if you only go to therapy if you have an issue or a problem. Do you go to the dentist for your 6 months checkups to get your teeth cleaned and checked? Do you go to a yearly physical to your doctor? Those are maintenance. Those are things that you're trying to get ahead of, or cut them off at the pass. If you see something, you can get it quickly. We believe the same thing in therapy. It helps you. It's a way to, if you have unresolved issues, to get those dealt with, but it also is maintenance. Once you're in a good place, it's a maintenance, because life be lifing sometimes. And sometimes you need to have that objective person in your life to help you assess and help you really go through and process what you could be experiencing in your life.
Right. So you got to take that stigma away, because I love the way you said that. I mean, it's just like going to the doctor and getting your health checked. You got to do that with your head and your heart, because we have, as you said, we all have issues. We all have things, right? And even if we've gone and gotten healed and got everything straight, we still have room from there to learn and grow and to become a better person. Even after we, quote unquote, get everything resolved or fixed, we still have room that we can learn and grow. So that's tonight what we want to talk through. How do you learn and grow? And how do you recognize mommy daddy issues? And if you have those mommy and daddy issues, what do you do then? How can I deal with those issues and have a more healthy relationship and break the toxic cycle that is generational? Right?
Yeah. So as we jump in, I want to lay down some ground rules. So we're not going to be able to cover every single scenario. There were a lot of people in those comments. I think we had like over thousands of comments on there. So a lot of people were given examples, and we thank you for that. People are sharing what has happened in their relationship. So when people were asking for examples, you have tons of them in there. So if we don't go over every scenario, don't think, oh, well, this doesn't apply to me, or every scenario that was listed in the comments is, well, I don't see this, so this person doesn't have mommy or daddy issues. So also, if you have questions, you can put the questions in the comments. We'll try to get through those. But the biggest thing I want us to do and ask each of you to do is to look at yourself in this situation. A lot of times it's easy for us to see the flaws in other people, but I want us, when we go through some of these things of the issues and some signs, actually looking at what are my behaviors, because that's what can change. That's where change can happen in your relationship, especially if you're married, and even not, that these are things that maybe I need to look at. Do I have a mommy issue? Do I have a daddy issue? Because the truth is, and we're going to be 100% transparent, we both have issues. We both have daddy issues. Why? Because we came from single moms. Both of our parents had us out of wedlock. So we have daddy's issues straight from the door. So that's number one. We both have mommy issues, and we will get into those. So we are coming to you not as people that have never had this and we're talking down to you. We're talking to you as people that have had this and have recognized that we have these issues too, and that we're working through them. And some of us have taken longer than others, and some still are. For me, I'm still working on my mommy issues, and I see continually through the process of therapy of seeing more and more of that coming into the relationship, and seeing, oh, wow, this is where it is. This is what's causing it. Not necessarily Devon. It was something from my childhood. So as we go through this, I really want you to really look at self. Where do I have a mommy issue? Do I have a daddy issue? Because the other thing in this important aspect is we attract those things. Sometimes we are attracted to what we did or didn't have in our childhood. So if you're attracting, oh, I've had all these guys and they have mommy issues or daddy issues. Well, the question would be, why are you attracting those people? What issues do you have in you or unresolved things in you that you're looking for to either correct or to find and fulfill that deficit in an external partner?
Yeah. That's good.
Okay.
All good stuff.
So the other goal of this is to just provide you information, resources, and an objective perspective. At the end, we are going to give you a tool and a resource that you will be able to utilize to actually find out specifically, okay, is there an issue here, a mommy or daddy issue, and actually be able to give it a name. So if you stay to the end, we have that for you. And are you ready to get started? Do you have anything?
We can get started. Yeah, I just want to, again, commend you all for taking a few minutes and joining, dropping in here. We appreciate all of our followers, and
Yes.
I want you to know that you are doing the right thing by getting as many resources as you can in your toolkit. Thank you for joining tonight, especially the single folks. You got an opportunity to nail this thing, man, and we really want you to make some really wise and intelligent decisions. We're humbled and thankful that we have opportunity to pour into you in this form, this platform. So again, thank you for your time, and let's get into it. Mommy and daddy issues. All right. First of all, we got to recognize what they are.
Right.
How do you recognize them?
Right. So some of the things that you could, some personal things that I think hit home, and we'll talk about. You want to start here?
Yeah, we can do that. So one sign, because people were asking, well, what are the signs? How do you know? That was the overwhelming question that came up in the comments of this video that went kind of bananas here, right? The video was kind of crazy. So one of the things that we want to talk about is that if there are dependency issues, clinginess in a relationship, they're being very clingy, wanting to be, someone to be around and be somebody that's controlling. Usually it's from a overprotective mother a lot of times, right? It's what that is synonymous with.
So if you had an overly controlling mother or very overprotective, then your partner, you or your partner may struggle with independence. Yeah. And you develop a dependency on your partner, and you're seeking constant reassurance, constant validation, unable to make decisions. That is maybe a sign that there were some mommy issues or daddy issues in your childhood. A big one is fear of abandonment. Yeah. This is a huge one. And this is if you had any type of inconsistent maternal care or abandonment leads to clinginess or an intense constant need for closeness. And the goal and the thing with this is it's cute at first. It's cute. Oh, he wants to be near me. Oh, he wants to be close. Oh, he's calling me all the time. And you can get attracted to that if you want to be in a relationship. So it's nice and cute at first, but it really could be a sign or a red flag of this fear of abandonment.
Yeah. And I can talk to that one a little bit too, because I definitely have that. One of the things that I dealt with when my mom and adopted dad at divorce, and seeing that brokenness and being there when they had one of the last arguments right before they divorced, right? That really did a number on me. And I didn't realize it until I got into a relationship with Dana. I didn't realize there was an issue there of abandonment. So I'll talk transparently about that, because when your world is changed like that in an instant, you go from having this family to leaving all your friends, leaving both your parents, because I went to go stay with a surrogate family member for a season. And it was hard. And when I got into this relationship, the whole, we have one argument, one of the first arguments we had, and I'm thinking, okay, this is it. It's over. And I remember being just kind of antagonized with that thought in the back of my mind that, man, it's going to be over, that quick. And this fear of abandonment, I really had to get, some help with that, really getting and talking it out with some friends, talking it out with counselors, and finally getting free from that thing and really recognizing what it was and where it came from. But I had to get real. And so many times, again, that stigma is there. But we, from a time I was a teenager, I really got, into getting help, talking it out, not holding stuff in, because I held it in for a long time and it became unhealthy. And if you're holding it in, some of you out there are probably sick and hurting right now, because physically, even because the emotional stuff that you just want to unpack, keeping that stuff inside is toxic. You've got to have a safe place to be able to pour that out and share that. Sometimes it's a trusted friend. Sometimes it's a coach like us. Other times it's a therapist. You need that deep-seated healing in that conversation, that safe space. And you got to really get that out to really begin to deal with the abandonment issues. And that's what I had to do. That made all the difference, just being able to, one, acknowledge it, that there was an issue, getting somebody to help me see that, but then also stepping through it and doing the work, because it was hard work to get over that. She had to deal with some things as I was working through that. And she, on the other hand, you've had some abandonment issues too, as well, because we had very similar backgrounds growing up. And it can really impact and complement your relationship, because she's going, why are you acting like this? We just had an argument, dude. Why are you acting like this is it? It's over. And in her mind, it wasn't that big of a deal. In my mind, I'm thinking it's World War III and it's over. We're done. 2 years in or whatever, right? Now, thankfully, we're obviously 19 years in. But had I not gotten that help, had I not dealt with it head on, we wouldn't have been here in 19 years. We would have stopped right there at 2-3 years, and it would have truly been over, because I was a victim. I wasn't a victim. I was a victim of my own abandonment issues. Right. Stuff that happened to me, not that necessarily I did, but adult things that happened to me as a child. But every adult thing that happens to you as a child, it's not your fault at the moment, but it is your fault. It is your responsibility to deal with it when you become an adult, right? So in other words, what happened to you is not your fault. But when you become of age, at some point you have to deal with that if you're going to stay healthy and move forward in life, right?
And I think as an adult, one thing that sometimes we can struggle with, and maybe not admitting that we have this problem, and this was maybe a struggle for me too. And hopefully this will help some of you out there of saying, oh, well, I don't have a mommy issue, or I don't have a daddy issue. Yeah. My mom, my mom raised me. She did this. My mom raised me as a single mom. She ended up getting married, and she did the best she could with what she had and the resources that she had. And I believe that she made the best decisions that she could with what she had.
Right.
Now, and we feel like, okay, if I say anything against my mom, it's a disrespect or a slap in the face to my mom because of all that she sacrificed and all that she did. The truth of the matter is that it's not a disrespect. It's not, it is a truth. It's a reality that even when you see things, because it's normal, that life was normal, the survival, the single mom was normal for me. That does not mean that it was healthy. Right. It is not psychologically healthy for someone to have to go through that as a child. Some of the things that people have gone through as a child, it happened. And when we admit, okay, I want to do something different, or, oh, I got hurt by my childhood, or my childhood is now negatively impacting my romantic relationships, that's not a slight to your parents. Yeah. This is just something that you're trying to do to break a curse, maybe a generational curse. This is part of the generational curse breaking. This is part of getting healthy. A lot of times we say as single parents, we want our kids to do better than we have, or any parent, because we say the same thing. We want our kids to be better than what we were. And a lot of times, unfortunately, that's just financial or physical things. I want them to have a better education. I want them to have clothes that I didn't have. I want them to do things I didn't do. But what about them being more healthy and better emotionally? Yeah. Spiritually, not being broken, not having to go to therapy to get healed from a childhood so that you can actually have a healthy adult relationship. That's part of giving our children a better life, is being able to get these things worked out and really understanding what's going on.
Yeah, you mentioned your mom, doing her absolute best, but even in your best, sometimes it's a broken best. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a broken best because, let's face it, our parents had brokenness too that they a lot of times hadn't dealt with. Mm-hmm. And her mom before that. So you're talking 2 or 3 generations of people doing their best, but their best was a broken best. At some point, somebody has to fix the broken so that it can become the ultimate best, right? So really making sure that you are that person. You can be that person right now. We've got so many resources in 2023 to help improve ourselves and to fix ourselves. So many resources. I've never seen this many books. I mean, I'm 47 years old. I haven't been alive. I'm not that old, but I have 47 years. And it seems like there's more and more an influx of relationship coaches, relationship therapists, books, lives, videos, courses. There's no excuse for staying with just a broken best. It's time to fix the broken and give your ultimate best. And that's what we want to help you do. So we're talking tonight about signs of mommy and daddy issues so that you can begin to recognize them within yourself, maybe within your relationship. We want to recognize them so that we can do what? We can take action and do something to fix it and to fix the broken places, right? So we talked about dependency or cleanliness. We talked about cleanliness.
You're saying something like you're saying cleanliness.
Do it. Do it.
It's clinginess.
Clinginess.
Okay.
Right. And fear of abandonment is number 2. It's a sign. Right.
The next is difficulty with trust. Now, this is a huge one.
Signs of mommy and daddy issues. Trust.
Signs of mommy and daddy issues. If your mother or father was untrustworthy, breaking promises, or emotionally unavailable, then you probably have difficulty trusting. And this is where I could preach a sermon on. because my mom was emotionally unavailable for me. And she was working, working jobs, multiple jobs, trying to provide, again, in this survival mode, trying to do the right thing. Right. But at an age of childhood, from an infant up until my teen years, we need to be emotionally connected to our parent. Yeah. And it's like, okay, if your parent didn't give you hugs, kisses, those are also unavailable. Your parent being emotionally unavailable to you. Mm-hmm. And it was like, for me, I didn't even realize that and recognize that till I had children of my own. And then it was like, wow, I don't remember my mom like hugging me or kissing me to say I love you. Like, she was just so working 9 to 5, then going to a second job, or working 12 to 9. She used to work at the mall, so the mall didn't close till 9. Like, I never remember that. And now I understand, like, okay, that for me it was difficult, or sometimes difficult, even with my Devon, showing the affection, giving him hugs and kisses and things like that. That was like foreign to me. Yeah. It was like, okay, well, I'm doing stuff, I'm working every day, we're paying bills. That don't you, isn't that enough? I'm showing you I love you, because that's what I saw my parents doing. I didn't see them even doing much of the affection. Mm-hmm. So that can create trust issues. I didn't trust. And that is a big thing. And also, even with that, when you don't have the hugs, the kisses, and the affection from your mom, from your dad, yes, children do reveal so much. They do. It also create anger. It can create anger in you. And if you have anger issues or outbursts, that's another sign that you had a mommy or daddy issue. And it's a coping mechanism. And sometimes it's a rigid behavior. If you're really hot, very rigid in your behavior and very controlling, because you want to make sure that no one leaves you and that you're in control of the situation, that you're not caught off guard. Because in your childhood, if people broke promises, said they were coming to get you, didn't, said you could do something and they didn't, this is creating that difficulty of trusting. That's causing the anger. That's causing the rigid behavior, that you're very controlling. You want things done a certain way. Those are all signs and signals that potentially you have a mommy or daddy issue.
So I want to take a second. I want to share something with you all that I saw someone post, and they were very transparent about what they experienced. Is a really good example of this, because oftentimes we talk about this, and there's some folks even in the comments that mention, I don't have daddy and mommy issues, right? And that may be true, right? But before you quickly dismiss a topic like this when it pops up on your social media feed, it really is a good thing to consider it. Consider what's going on, right? There's a question there, okay. But I want to read this real quick. It says,
now, let me preface this. Okay, what he's reading is this person, and it's a female. Mm-hmm. She's saying that she has mommy issues. And this is a good thing, because a lot of people think mommy issues are just with men, but women have way more mommy issues than men sometimes. So this is a woman responding to her mommy issues and kind of explaining it. So go ahead, babe.
Right. So this person says, I am also finding that when someone is genuinely loving and adoring towards me, I find it incredibly uncomfortable. Mm. I am with an incredible, loving man at the moment, and it almost feels like a defense mechanism to find him literally unattractive when he's being mushy and physically or verbally affectionate with me. I feel like this has a lot to do with my mother's coldness towards me growing up. I don't know how to return this sentimentality, and I have a hard time creating attachments to people because of it. Wow. I mean, that just kind of struck me. That's a really, really good example of what it looks like. If you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship, you can't receive love. There's been nothing done to you from your partner, and you can't receive love, or you have a hard time giving love when somebody wants to get physical. There could be a mommy or daddy issue. It could be like Dana said, the detachment from your parent, not having that affection given to you in an early age. Even if we go back before we can even remember, what was it like as a newborn? Did you have, because the first thing when a baby comes out of the womb, what do they generally do? As a healthy baby, they attach it to the mommy, lay it on the mommy to have that bonding start happening, right? And that's a healthy thing. They've done all kinds of studies that show that babies mature quicker when they have that attachment, that physical bond. And maybe even as a baby, some of us may not have even been held properly by a mother. Yep. Hadn't been hugged or kissed or cuddled or soothed, even when we're crying. Those first few days coming out of the womb that are very traumatic, I would imagine, for a baby. Maybe that bond wasn't even there from day one. No wonder it's hard in your romantic relationship right now to experience that vulnerability. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah. And I mean, even beyond that, I've seen some studies, and I know a psychologist that I follow and have gotten a lot of revelation from, is even that in the womb, that it can impact the birth of the child. They call it like a maternal fetal bonding. So if your parent didn't want you, if you were unwanted, those feelings that your parent had that didn't want you or anything like that, that can be, that bonding or detachment can created even in the womb. So to imagine if your parent was going through a hardship, and I think about my mom, like she had me at a single mother, and I don't even think she told her parents. It was like a secret. And then I found out later on that she was going to let one of my aunts adopt me. And so she really didn't want me or didn't want to take care of me. But once she had me, she couldn't do it. But all that 9 months, okay, was that more of a detachment, that she wasn't connected with me or really wanting, but she was just stressed and overwhelmed of what she was about to have to deal with? And that they're saying now in studies that can impact a child even before they're born. So they're coming out of the womb with that disconnection from their maternal partner, their bonding, the first attachment that they have to their parent.
And that can create that difficulty in trusting, right? And so real quick, we're talking about this whole thing of mommy and daddy issues. And this does hinge around some boundaries issues too. And so the question we have here is in regards to boundaries, but it's fitting. It says, how do you deal with your partner's family when they don't respect you in regards to not respecting your time? That's a really big one. And we'll touch it real quick. But really, you've got to have the conversation. You and your partner have to be on the same page with having the conversation. You got to first, you got to get after what is really affecting you, what is bothering you. It sounds like respecting your time is one. You're going to have to find some examples of where it's happening. You and your partner have got to get on the same page about how you're going to have the conversation and what you're going to say. It's got to be a united front. And oftentimes, this is where we see these issues, these disconnects, where hubby can't stand up to his mom because that's a mommy issue there. There's a mommy issue there. He's always been under his mom's thumb, and sometimes it can get really weird with guys, right? They can get really weird where they're almost more emotionally bonded and connected with their mom. They never detach from it. So here's the other thing. You can be too attached to your mom. You can be too attached to it. We're going to get to that. That's coming, right? But really making sure that we acknowledge that you got to be united front. And if there's an issue there, if hubby or wifey is unable to stand up to their parents and like as a unified front, that's another sign, ding, 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 that there's probably a mommy or daddy issue, because you could be having trouble speaking up and standing up to daddy. But once you leave, and our philosophy is this: when you leave one household, when Dana left her house to become living in my house, I gave her my last name. Now that's a whole new set of governance, right? That's a new government. How they come in and what we do in our house may not look exactly like it did in her parents' house. You don't have the right just to come in however, whenever you want to. No, there's a door with a lock on it for a reason. So you come knock at the right time, at the appropriate time. So yeah, that's can be a huge challenging issue, and definitely this time of year coming up on the holiday season. Woo, yeah, man.
So how do you deal with the partner's family when they don't respect you in terms of not respecting your time? It just, that would be a huge boundary thing of just, okay, what are the boundaries? What are the limitations? Is it, I don't know all the details. Is a call before you come over, don't just pop up. Or if you come over, you can't stay for 7 hours. I need you to leave after 2 hours. Just understanding what is it going to do to be healthy for you, or what is going to be acceptable for you. Talking that with your partner, and then going to the parents and talking about what boundary that you have set. And if you have difficulty with that, that is something that we have for anyone, because the premise to give you the end before is boundaries is the biggest thing that is going to help you with all of the mommy daddy issues and actually getting into a better place with your partner. If you're married and you just can't run like that therapist recommended, boundaries is what is one of the key things that you're going to need to implement with your partner on how you're going to operate with the parents and the in-laws. So we do have, if you click the link in our bio, we do have a class, and if you do 15 off, we'll give you $15 off of that class. We give you, it's over an hour of teaching live. And then we have a workbook that goes through an assessment to show where the boundaries are. We give you scripts, because we know it is difficult, especially parents. They don't like change. So we even give you scripts on actually what to say, how to say it, how to handle it when they say no, when they object to what you say. How do you actually handle that and stand your ground? So we have all of that in a class for you online. So you can click the link in the bio to get that.
And you type in, when you click that link, is type 15 off, 15 off
in the discount
code, and you get $15 off that course. So very good question. Hopefully that answered that. Give us a thumbs up if that answered that question. Hopefully I did. If not, we'll try to come back to that.
All righty.
All right.
So
yeah, so we're Devon
thanks
Dana
for those that are joining.
Talking about signs of mommy and daddy issues, and I'm going to give you some pointers on what to do about that here at the end, a resource, right?
Seeking approval. That's the next one. Seeking approval. Parents that were mighty critical. If you had critical or demanding parents, and then you may constantly seek approval from your partner, leads you to feel inadequate if they are not met. So if your partner doesn't give you that constant approval or validation, then you feel inadequate. If this feels like if you feel like you've never good enough or you'll never be good enough, then you may likely have a mommy or daddy issue.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say for myself personally, that I know that I have a mommy and daddy, my parents were very critical, and it was a very performance-based type of environment, that when someone shares something with you, the first thing you want to do is pick out the problems with it. In your mind, you're thinking you're doing the good thing. In your mind, you're thinking you're trying to make them be better, but it's actually critical, and it's not very empathetic. It's not validating, and it doesn't show compassion. And it just lacks emotional connectivity. So if that's you, you always have like a critical, and you try to justify it that, oh, I'm doing a good thing. I just want you to be better, or I see the little problems to make it even better than what it is. If you don't lead with that type of praise or validation, that could be a key sign too that you may have a mommy or daddy issue.
And I will also say with that one, in that regard too, overperforming to try to get approval, to try to get the applause. Sometimes people do that because they have that deficit. They never had somebody cheering for them. I remember perfectionism. I remember even growing up, for a season where I had a family in the audience, but I didn't have my dad in the audience.
Or your mom.
Or my mom, and a lot of cases, my mom, right? And so that really, I found out later in life how much that really affected me. I wanted that approval, because it's nothing like looking over, I would imagine, and seeing your folks there applauding for you or whatever on a regular basis. Our daughters have never had to be in a situation where they looked over and didn't see us there. 98% of the time they saw Dana or myself in the audience. And so hopefully that's been a good thing, and that'll help them, fortify them. But it really hurts. It really can struggle. And so really seeking that approval, if you have this angst and this hyper focus on getting approval from others and words of affirmation, everybody has that love language. That's good. But sometimes it can be out of balance. And when that's the main thing here is we're talking about, when these things that we're mentioning, these signs, there's nothing inherently wrong with these, seeking, wanting to have approval from your spouse. That's good. But when it's unbalanced, when it's extreme, that's a good red flag, a good indicator that you got a mommy or daddy issue. So we're not saying these things, nobody wants to be left, right? We're talking about fear of abandonment, right? Nobody wants to be left. People, it crosses your mind. There's nothing wrong with it crossing your mind. You're not weird. But when you have that extreme hyper focus on some of these things, that's when it can become characterized as a mommy or daddy issue, right? So as we're naming these out, I just want to put that out there. That is really the extreme of these particular issues we're highlighting.
Yep. And unrealistic expectations. Some have this view, and now we're going to kind of switch gears, because people even DM'd us and asking us in the comments, well, what if your partner doesn't have mommy issues where they have anger that their mom has left them, is that their mother does no wrong, that their mother is perfect and everybody has to measure up to my mom. So they have this unrealistic expectation. Their mom did all of these things for them, so they want to know why you can't perform. They're expecting you to do all the things that my mom did. Well, my mom was a single mom, and she cooked, she did this, she did that, she did this, she did everything for us, and she was amazing. So why are you complaining or asking me to do with housework? Okay. One thing that I will say about this is just that if you saw your mom like that, now look at your mom now. A lot of times, why would you want your partner or someone that you love to do all the things that your mom was doing as a single woman? that she was having to carry that burden of a whole household by herself. So you want your wife or your significant other to do that same thing. And then when you look at moms now that were single moms, they have ailments, they have disease, their body has aged because of all of the things that they've gone through, or their side, all the things that they were carrying on their own. And so that's what you want your wife, someone that you claim that you love, to do all on their own. Like, that's a very unrealistic expectation, and it's a mindset that has to change. If your mother was a single mom, you don't want your wife to be a single mom and doing the same thing that your mom did as a single parent. Ask your mom if she liked doing it. They may have never complained it, because you do what you got to do to get things done, but that wouldn't been what she signed up for. She probably would have loved help. She would have loved not having to have some of those burdens on her plate, or those things on her plate.
Yeah, you know, expecting your spouse in that example, or expecting your spouse to have dinner ready for you right at 6 o'clock because your mom had it ready at 6 o'clock. It's unrealistic. That's an unrealistic expectation. That's extreme. It's almost like, you know, this, I don't want to say an idealistic view. I mean, it is an idealistic view of what perfection should look like. That's not necessarily the standard that you have in your house. Again, what worked in your parents' house may not necessarily work for you and your partner. You got to talk about that. And if you're holding your partner up to a high standard that you saw your mom or your dad live up to, some of them may be attainable and easy for your partner. Others may not. So you got to talk about that. That's where, again, we talk about legacy impact coaching, communication, being able to talk about these volatile issues. We give couples a framework by which to talk about some of these difficult things that are hard. Right. And even if you were to have that conversation, it's very prickly. You're gonna have all kinds of emotions. And so really being able to have that conversation, have that safe place, and have the framework to do that is what we help couples do, right?
So what we're going to do now is just get into some more of another example, that if your mom was over involved, so now your mom was over involved, then you may have trouble setting boundaries. And this is the case, again, that can happen, that your mom maybe comes over, or your mom has a key to your house.
Ooh.
And so she can come in and drop in anytime. Maybe you pay bills for your mom. You pay her cell phone bill, or you pay this and that. And now that you're in a relationship or a marriage, and your partner's like, okay, we don't need to pay mom's cell phone bill anymore. We have our own set of bills, but you're unable to say no. Like, that is uncomfortable for you to make that change, or uncomfortable. That is a sign that there is a mommy issue, and not that, you know, we may need to discuss this. There's difficulty setting boundaries and telling mom no. So that is one. Another is the comparison to the mom, which you just talked about a little bit, of just, okay, well, my mom did this. Why is it so difficult for you? My mom did this. That comparison is definitely a thief of joy in a relationship.
Yep. And for those that are joining in, we're Devon and Dana, artists with Legacy Impact Coaching. And tonight we're talking about mommy and daddy issues. There was a post that we posted earlier this week, and went kind of crazy, went viral. And a lot of people were asking about, how do you recognize mommy and daddy issues? And that's what we're talking through tonight. So thank you for those that are just joining. Somebody asked a question about, we may have to come back. It says, what are some questions to ask a man that you've been in a 3-year relationship? How do I know he's truly committed? I will say, you know, kind of answer it real quick, and you can drop us a DM with that question. We can maybe answer a little bit offline. But one of the things you really want to talk about as far as commitment and, you know, some questions to ask. One, I always ask her the first time I saw her, you know, what is your 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see us in 5 years? You know, and really letting that person answer that question. And that kind of gives you a glimpse into what's going on in their hearts. And what we help couples learn to do is learn to become a student of your partner. You have this whole relationship piece from beginning to end. When I say end, I mean death, right? Dying, you know, in your life. Hopefully everybody stays together. But in order for it to be healthy, you got to become a student of your partner. You got to regularly check in with what's going on in their hearts through different times and seasons. That's what love looks like. Over the course of times and seasons, it's all about being inquisitive and asking those questions. I like the way you put that. What are some questions to ask? You should always be asking questions. You should always be connecting on a daily, weekly basis with your partner to really understand what's going on in their hearts. How are they handling life? Checking in every day to see what's going on, to see where they are, right? So that's one question I would ask them. You know, what's the last good book you read? That's another question I asked her.
She's saying she's been in the relationship for 3 years, so she's trying to say, is he committed? So I mean,
well, I would ask the question at this point: what kind of relationship is it? Is there a ring involved? If there's not a ring involved, then I've got some questions.
Right.
You know, I think you have your answer too about commitment, because after you don't know after 3 years, I don't know. You know, we got some more questions. That's why I want to talk to you a little bit offline. Let's have that conversation. But yeah. More to come there, but we won't talk about it in this forum. I think we need to have some more dialogue. All right. Yeah. So what else do we have here? What are we talking about? We're talking about mommy daddy issues.
Yes. And so this time we're talking about mommy issues, and we'll say this is on the side where the mother is involved. So this is emotional enmeshment. This is a huge one. And this is where the emotional boundaries are blurred, and it makes it challenging for the son to separate his emotions from that of his mother. And what this means is that he's making decisions in his romantic relationship based upon how he feels that it will impact his mom. And is it going to hurt her? Is she going to feel rejected if I say this? Then so he's going to make his decision based on how do I cause the least amount of pain to my mom, not even considering the person that I'm in a romantic relationship with. That is the emotional enmeshment. And that is a big thing when people talk about mama's boys. So this is what we're talking about now when you say a mama's boy. So this is what happened. He's making his decisions because he doesn't want his mama to feel, you know, if he was growing up, and what happens is the mom turns to the child for emotional support or taking on that role in the household that a man should take, and it actually the son takes it over. This is where that emotional enmeshment comes in.
Yeah. Now she was pointing at me. It ain't me.
No,
my mom passed away in 2009. So
yeah,
put it out there.
No, he was not a mama's boy, but I just used he's a man, so I'm just saying this is the example. So if I tell my mom no, she may feel rejected. And I know she was rejected by my dad, or he left us. So I don't want her to go through that pain. I saw her as a child, the pain that she went through, and I don't want her experiencing that. So you're making decisions and hurting your romantic partner, the person that you love and you're in a relationship, because you're still emotionally connected and meshed with your mother. You cannot separate the emotions and the boundaries of what you need to do for your life as an adult because you're so connected with the mom.
Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, and you see that again a lot of times this time of the year.
Yes.
When you know, mama says she wants cooked potato salad, you know, and you want to, you know, you still speaking up for your wife's potato salad. You know, you get into all those kind of conversations. I'm kind of joking, but these issues come up as everybody gets around the table during the holidays. So really, I encourage every couple to get in there and really figure out how to fortify your relationship in and around boundaries and having the right type of boundaries, being able to have those crucial conversations as a couple, again, collectively. Don't go at it alone. You have to be a unified front in these whole boundary scenarios. And it's important to separate, because here's the thing. You got it. Boundaries are simple as this, and I don't want to go too far into it. It's where one person or one group of people begin and the other one ends. You've got to know where you are as a couple. And when you're overlapping too much and it gets to the point where it's unhealthy, it's causing issues in your own relationship, everybody's got to take a step back and go, wait a minute. Something has to change. You have to make an adjustment. And boundaries are simply making an adjustment. When you have these emotional enmeshments, you got to make an adjustment here. And again, it may take some help. Maybe the partner doesn't see that he's got a weird, extreme connection with his mom that's causing issues. He can't see it. She can't see it. But if your partner brings it up as a potential issue, it is wise to consider it. You got to consider it. Because again, when you're becoming a student of your partner's heart, they're telling you what's hurting them. Don't dismiss it. That's the worst thing you can do is to dismiss it, and not acting like it's not a thing and not getting hope for the thing, right? You've got to do that if your relationship is going to change. You've got to take action. That's the only way you're going to break generational curses. Yes, prayer is great, but prayer has to be coupled with actions. What does it say? Faith without works is dead. That's a thing too, right? That's a scripture too. So you got to really make sure that you're putting some action with it. And that means you've got to make an adjustment when these things pop up on the radar of your relationship. All right. What's the next one? The
next one is fear of disapproval.
Okay.
So fear of disappointing or upsetting mom can influence decisions as well. So this may, again, the actions may not align with what would be normal or natural in a romantic relationship because your allegiance is more so towards the mother versus the partner that you're in a relationship with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to. Do we want to get that one about the pregnancy when the baby? There was a situation we had early on in our relationship where her mom wanted to come and hang out with us right after we had our firstborn child, and we knew that wasn't a thing that we wanted at that moment. We wanted her to come over, but we just wanted time just for us to bond together as husband and wife and new parents. A week or two is all we asked. That wasn't an easy conversation with her mom, but we knew if we didn't have that conversation, then it would be a challenging situation down the road, right? So we figured that, okay, well, let's go on and have this conversation. It was difficult. Um, we made a decision. And so that's what you have to do in these situations. You have to really be able to speak up and not fear that disapproval. We knew there was going to be that. We could have hid behind that fear and gone, not said anything, and could have been inconvenienced and miserable and created more issues in the long run had we not said, you know what, let us have the proper boundaries, Mom. We want you to come over. We know you want to bond. Come to the hospital when we have the baby, but then quickly go back home, right? And then you can come back in 2 weeks. Give us 2 weeks just to bond, get all the kinks worked out. Let us be at our best, at our worst. We'll call you in a couple weeks. And guess what? It turned out okay. She didn't like it up front, I'm sure, right? And we love you if you're watching, Mom. We love you, her mom. And so that's what we had to do, right? And it turned out well. We didn't have extra angst and stress at that moment. We just wanted to bond, and that's that. We would have been frustrated had that moment been taken away from us. And so really moving around that fear of disapproval in that situation together as a couple was what we needed to do. Okay.
All right, so mommy and daddy issues. So we've given you quite a bit of information here on just some signs that of mommy and daddy issues that you may have, or maybe that your partner has. So let us know if this was helpful. Put a 1 in the comments if this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put those in the comments. And then we'll talk about the last thing was the key tool or resources that you're going to use to find out what type of mommy or daddy issues that you may have or be experiencing in your life. So we thank you for all that joined. Okay, I see a 1. So this was helpful. Again, mommy and daddy issues does not mean that you necessarily have to run and get away up from that relationship if the person is willing to get some help and willing to go get some help and work through it. Because again, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about this for quite some time, but everyone has issues. Everyone has a parent that messed up. You know, even now we knew about our mom and dad issues, but we've still done things that are probably going to adversely impact our children. So we just have to recognize and realize that. But it is, are we working towards it? Are we trying to make change? Are we trying to learn and grow?
Are we saying I'm sorry when it's time to say I'm sorry? Are we taking ownership and accountability and keeping the lines of communication open with our daughters? Absolutely. Yes. Whereas sometimes when we grew up, and I'll attest to this, that a lot of things were swept under the rug. People didn't have confrontations in families. They didn't talk about some things that hurt, and they just went on and remain going down this unhealthy path of not bringing up. Yes, you have an issue with your sibling. Let's say my mom may have had an issue with a sister or a brother, but you never say anything. You go on and on through life, and you never have the conversation. You carry that toxicity and passing it on to the next generation. You got to break that cycle and keeping the lines of communication open, because listen, we say this all the time, a legacy impact coaching is for your romantic relationships, but it also applies to your business relationships. It also applies to your greater extended family. You've got your children, right? Every relationship starts with communication, but it's sustained through effective communication. You got to be able to have that effective communication, and effective communication includes having conflict. So many people are afraid to have conflict. They're afraid to have the conversation, and they just go on and on and on through life, suffering in silence and violating one another's boundaries. You know, the holidays are coming up. You know, you got to be able to have a conversation if you're a parent with auntie who's always kissing on your kid in a weird, unhealthy way. You know, and the kid is like, no, back up. You got to be able to have those boundaries conversations, because previous generations didn't have that conversation. And what happens? A lot of times we've seen, unfortunately, a really extreme example of this. Somebody ends up getting molested because conversations weren't put up front, at the forefront of relationships. And so really being able to have those conversations are the way that you have healthy relationships and avoid issues. You avoid issues by having some of these conversations and transparent conversations up front, and having them regularly, checking in, right?
Yep. So again, hopefully this was helpful. We gave you quite a bit of signs, I would say, as well. Another one that just came to my mind that I would say for myself, if you said as a child, okay, I'm not going to do this when I get old, or I'm never going to do this when I have kids, that's a sign probably that you had a mommy or daddy issue based on how you responded and how you reacted to the way your parent parented you, or something that they did that was really hurtful or maybe traumatic to you. That's a sign as well that you may have a mommy or daddy issue. Another thing I will share as we walk out the digital door, as we say, that was one thing that I've learned recently in one of my therapy sessions. And when we talk about the anger and just the overwhelming feelings, sometimes you will have reactions in your body, and that is where trauma can be stored. You may have heart palpitations or just a tightness in your chest, or you may be having feelings in your body, aches in your legs and things like that. That also could be signs when a conversation happens, or an intense emotional feeling comes over you, that could be connected to an unresolved issue in your childhood. And then sometimes when you have conversations and you're trying to figure out what it is and you don't have the words, you can't explain it. You just know, I don't feel right. Something does not feel right. I'm hurt. Something is just not connecting with me. Then I learned that in my therapist, she was telling me it's because something happened to you when you didn't even have the vocabulary to actually put a name to what you were feeling and experiencing. It was the 7 or 8-year-old you that experienced the same level of trauma or rejection from your mom, or just when you were hurt and you didn't get that hug that you needed. That created a pain in you, but you didn't have the words at 7 and 8 years old to actually put it, to name it. So now as an adult, you feel that same intense hurt and pain, but you don't have the words to put it into. And as an adult, when someone's telling, well, what's wrong? And you're like, I don't know, I can't explain it. That could be a potential sign that there is an unresolved issue from your childhood, that you're feeling that same pain, that your partner triggers you in something, but you can't name it. I just feel something. I'm overwhelmed, or you cry, or you get upset, whatever the case may be. It could be something in your past as a child that you don't even know how to put it in words. You just know that the feeling is the same that you felt as a child.
Yeah. And I want to again thank you all for joining. And I want to, as Dana shared that, thank you for sharing that. It's really vital that we have this self-awareness about what we've been through, where we are, and where we want to go. And that's this whole space of coaching. We do coaching, but we also are partnering with counselors who can help you with the past, the things that you are lurking beneath the surface that you haven't dealt with. But we as coaches, we help draw some of those things up. We give it to the counselor, partner with them for them to work with you to deal with it. And then we help you set goals to move forward, right? So it's all about where we've been, where we are, where we want to get to. And that's the beauty of coaching. That's the beauty of partnering coaching with counseling. So we encourage you all to do both. And so as this work week begins, I want to encourage you all to have a great week. And I want you to say this with me real quick. I want you to say, I have room to learn and grow. I have room to learn and grow, right? A lot of times couples come to us.
Put it in chat.
Fix my
I have
partner.
room to learn and grow.
They say, fix my partner. You fix her, we'll be okay. The wife says, you fix him, the marriage will be fine. And we challenge them. Your relationship is only going to grow and get better when you acknowledge that you've got room to learn and grow. Because guess what? Here's a secret. Here's a cheat code for y'all going into this week. You can only control and manage yourself. Mm-hmm. You can only control and manage yourself. I can't control her. She can't control and manage me. All right. My kids may say you control and manage me, but really they don't, right?
They control and manage us.
Yeah, right? So we all have room to learn and grow. We've got to decide if we want to grow, if we want to change, if we want to become the best version of ourselves. The only person that can stop us is us, right? So as you get up in the morning, I want you to looking at that man or that woman looking at you in the mirror and say, I have room to learn and grow. And it's really that self-awareness, it's that humility that will take you far beyond you could ever imagine in your relationship. When you have that mindset and you put that mindset together, couple that with action, you're both saying that on a regular basis and both putting forth action to become your absolute best, your relationship becomes the absolute best. Mm-hmm. And we want to love to partner with you. If you want to have more of these conversations, if this has been good for you tonight, we definitely want to keep them going. Drop us some comments. You can find out more about how to connect with us and set up a discovery session to get deeper down into how we can help you reach your marital goals and communication goals. We would love to do that. And also even some of your business goals. We do some business coaching as well. So we'd love to help you there. And yeah, thank you again for joining. And thank you. Thank you. Anything else?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right. Have a good night, all. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.